And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. How's everything going, Mad Owl, Penguin Makers, Tinkering Techie? Hope everyone's doing well this evening. Hey, Timor, how's it going? Welcome in. So I know it's been a little while. Streams are getting a little bit later and later in the night. Apologies for that, but that is basically how the cookies are crumbling right now. Between work, life, and the shop, it's getting harder and harder to keep up a schedule, it seems like. But I hope everyone's doing well. So I've been working in the background, doing repairs, cleaning, tune-ups, stuff like that for folks. And I've been working on the RatRig, just kind of trying to polish some things up and going through the commissioning guide. So what I will do is go ahead and, hey, Eagle the Dragon, how's it going? They're doing good. Talk about that later on. But I will say, here is the Abitnutz RatRig V-Core 4.1 with dual tubes, dual LGX Pro extruders, everything that Mandala Roseworks makes for it as far as upgrades. And as you can see, we've got a spool of filament on the left side, and there's filament that's been put down on the bed. So there we are. I did this over in the back corner. That's why I had to wait a little bit so I could let things cool down, unplug it, and move it over here. But let me turn this screen around as much as I can. And before I plug this in, I will turn her around. So that we can get a look at the back side. We do have our lower printed piece here. I was having problems with the original metal piece not fitting properly and having to do a bunch of sanding and stuff. Sort of didn't like that. I did add another hole on this side, which means I had to reprint this lower piece because I kind of boogered it up trying to drill a hole in plastic. So I went ahead and just sliced it with a hole in here. And that gives us an option. We can feed in our cable through here, or we can feed in our cable through here, pull it up, plug it in. It'll give a couple of options for Abitnutz and how he wants to run this. You're saying, well, why are you running a cable through here? And this cable is coming through to power the Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi is being powered separately from the rest of the printer. That's how Abitnutz wanted it. It allows them to do two things. One, you can shut off the main printer so you're not running everything crazy, and this is going to sip some power. Two, it decouples it nicely. There is a 5-volt power output up here. It's a 2x10 DuPont connector up here that we would normally be pulling the power and ground from, going to the GPIO, and we'd be doing 5-volt ground, skipping 3, and then going into another ground. So we have 2 5-volts, 2 grounds. Something to be aware of. We're using an Octopus Pro version 1.1 board. The pinout for this 2x5 connector is completely different from a standard Octopus. So had I been able to locate that original pre-made wire, it would have been bad had I just plugged it in and said, let's go. Completely different pinouts. Regardless, we're away from that. This is just like press fit around the fans. Pull this out. We pull out. Come on, there we go. There is our wiring. Once again, we've got our side fans here. We've got the side fans, or the controller box fans. This is the VOC fan. We've got our bed thermistor, 4 thermistors for the gantry motors, the Kraken motors that we put in. We've got our end stop. Hard to see, but we got our 2X end stops there. Our motors, power, the bed's heating up via the SSR, and down here we have all of our Wagos. This shield actually comes down and covers up the mains Wagos that are down here. So even if you take this lower back panel off, you're still going to have to take the main back plate off to be able to get these 2 screws off to remove this plate and access your mains voltage. Everything up here is DC 24 volt or 48 volt. 48 volt has a single connection to the motors, motor power in, and a single V negative tying to the V negative of the 24 volt. So they're shared V negative. We don't want any ground loops or negative loops on the side. And then a single 24 comes down to a set of Wagos and then feeds everything. Our tool head boards do have the boards down here as we showed before. And basically everything is up and running. We've done the basic power on checks, basic calibrations. I have not calibrated the VOC. I'm not going to do that tonight on stream. Maybe that might be a Saturday night thing. Tonight, I just want to push some more plastic, right? I think you all deserve to see this actually pushing some plastic. So let me flip this around and I will plug it in and we can work on getting some plastic pushed here. So as normal Raspberry Pi, when you plug this in, it does come on. The power supply that we have does not have an inline power switch. Could be something we can add ourselves later. So I'm going to let that cycle for a little bit, and then I'll hit the power on the overall RatRig. Once again, I do not have the ooze guards on this, but I will try and bring you all in closer so you can see what we have. Let me check chat. Oh, thanks, Tinkering Techie. Right now, I do not, you could, right? Yes and no. You could configure it so that it can basically do a switched relay, and you would lay that relay between the power in and the initial Wagos that are bringing power up to the 2 PSUs. There is a way of doing that, Tinkering Techie. It's just not configured that way at the moment. What I wanted to try and do is go around the camera, pull you all in a little bit. There we go. So as the printer starts to do its thing, right, it will do a final warm up over here so that you can get any ooze off of it, or would normally have an ooze guard on it. We'll come over here. It will do several touches, test things out. It'll do an initial little blob, a baby blob here. Raise up, come over and do basically a wipe. So that's your little, this is your little initial baby blob. Not very much at all, but enough just to prime that nozzle. You have a skirt that laid down, and this was the first layer test. And yeah, see if we can get a decent view in here, but this is the first layer test, and I didn't have to adjust the thing. Now, with that being said, it heat soaks the beacon and the bed a lot. Like, it heat soaked for about 20 minutes before it went ahead and did things. And I haven't changed anything. That is the default. And it came out pretty good. Everything is adhering very well, right? We have not done any calibration. Okay, there's been no calibration. This is the first plastic that was pushed through this printer. And I will ask you guys right now, for the first print on stream, do you want me to print that again? Or would you like me to slice up and do the skew correction? Okay. And what do I mean by skew correction? So we've got a functioning machine. All of the axes are moving in the right direction, obviously. We're able to push plastic. After doing that, the next thing that we're supposed to do is the initial VAOC calibration. The VAOC calibration is going to calibrate the X, Y, and Z offsets between tool head 0 and tool head 1. That is a critical step that must be done. I do not want to do that tonight because we're getting, one, a late start, and two, it's just going to take a little bit of time. So I would rather not do that tonight. The skew calibration, though, would be the very next thing. And we should be able to do this without having the VAOC done, and we won't have to redo it after doing the VAOC. What the skew calibration is meant to do is determine if there is any skew in the mechanics of the frame. Okay? Now, I am not trying to throw anybody under the bus. The frame was built when it was brought to me. It was very well supported with various corner brackets and extra braces to get it to me. I did not tear this down to the base frame and rebuild the frame to make sure that I personally squared everything up from the start. Okay. It was pre-built. All the Z-axes were in place and everything. So what I want to do is do a skew check print and see if there is a skew. If there is, we might be able to do some things to solve it if it's bad. If it's not bad, we can solve it with software, right? So I see at least one for the skew print. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this file, and we want to make sure that the A corner is facing the origin, so the front left. And we'll leave everything, base slicing, go for it. Hey, Shrimp Father, how's it going, Martin? And we'll just print this. Once again, we're pushing plastic. I may be over extruding a little bit. I may not be, don't know. I haven't even done E-step calibration I'm assuming the default value for the LGX Pro is going to do, or the LGX Lite Pro is pretty spot on. Sort of seems to be. I will try and do that calibration of E-steps off stream because once again, I have to unload the filament, most likely to be able to pull the PTFE tube out and be able to expose the filament so I can mark it, heat it up, run the test, extrude it, check it, mark it, go on. And because we have 2 tool heads, we have to do that twice. Hey, Diablo Spawn, how's it going? Welcome in. Definitely interested in the SKU print. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I have Prusa Slicer up, and we'll see if I can get it loaded here once again. We've got 0.2 quality, or 0.2 quality, generic PLA, and the base V-Core 400 by 400 IDEX, base Prusa profile. I'll tell you this, I tried to do it in Orca Slicer, and it would not let me print because I have Orca Slicer 2.3.2, and it's only compatible up to 2.3.1. They have not made 2.3.2 compatible with RatRig, so RatOS said, no. So I had to go through and update my Prusa Slicer on my Mac and slice that initial file on my Mac. Right before stream, I updated Prusa Slicer over here. So once again, I'm just going to come in here to downloads. I'm going to grab the SKU test. Yeah, buddy. What is the name of the file? File name, file name, file. SKU calibration. I thought, had not. I had not. I just downloaded the slicer. Now, we need to, once again, come in here, make sure that A, right, is pointed to our origin, which is the front left, and it is. I am not going to change everything. Generic PLA default worked fine on the last one. Will work on this one. Literally going to slice this. I'm going to export the G code. Throw it back over and download. And I'm just going to upload it to the printer. It kept the same IP address. Good, hopefully. All righty. And I'm just going to upload it. I didn't want to go ahead and do all the, creating basically a machine profile is what you're doing. Set all that up just yet. So we've got the SKU calibration. We're going to click on that and say print. Now I do want to highlight the vast number of temperature sensors we have here. Only one like, but 7 people watching. It's not easy to get on camera. Yeah, there you go. Penguin makers, I agree. Go ahead and like, subscribe, check things out. We've got lots of videos out there. Normally it's of me just sitting here rambling about builds. Sometimes not even chat because I'm focusing on the build. But here we've got the extruder, extruder 1, so tool head 0, tool head 1, heater bed, and I have a feeling it did not like something. Print processing error, slicer version not supported. I literally just updated to 295. Goodness gracious. Okay. Don't mind me, folks. I'm going to come over here and just do it over on the Mac. And once again, I'm just going to make sure it's properly aligned. It is. Slice it. Export it. And I will come over here. Grab that, throw it away because it won't work. Upload this one and tell it to print. Hopefully this time. There we go. There we go. So while it's doing this, I will put you over on the bench side so you can watch this as it starts doing its thing. But yeah, we literally have extruder 1, heater bed, the beacon coil. We measure the power that's being sent to the hot ends. We have the temperature sensor for the Octopus Pro board, both the toolhead boards, the Raspberry Pi, all 4 stepper motors, and then there's another extruder 1 at the bottom, which I really have no idea what that is actually measuring. Oh. But yeah, it's basically, it's a lot. All kinds of things are being measured on the graphs here. Hey, Killer, how's it going? So, Killer, this is the Abitnutz RatRig V-Core 400. It is an IDEX. We have the Kraken motors installed, and it's going to sit like this for a little bit. So while it does that, I'll show you the display. Maybe let me switch the camera view over to that instead of my mug. You're going to do the same thing to mine. Okay, so this has the 4.1 added to it. Okay, so this is the 4.1. This is the steel gantry. It's everything that Mandala Roseworks makes for this print. So we've got the Z pillow mounts. We've got the mini Oldham couplers, the Z-axis carriages, the bed mounts. It's got the N2O, which is a graphite bed, which heats up pretty decently fast. Mandala Roseworks CNCXY joints with the 12 millimeter spacers to enable the end stops to hit. The Mandala Roseworks hybrid / IDEX gantry parts in the back. Exactly. We're using Kraken motors on the 4 gantry motors in the back. We have a beacon probe on toolhead 0 that does our initial like Z tilt and all that goodness using touch. So it is touching the nozzle, which is one of the reasons why we'll have to get the ooze guards on there and stuff like that, so it has something to wipe before it does the touch. 1.5 millimeter GT belts, and we have tooth idlers on the front on each side on the XY. On the rear of the hybrid motors, because it comes down, goes around the motor pulley and then back forward. The front pulleys on the hybrid motors should be tooth idlers. I can't put tooth idlers there because the tooth idlers are taller than the either a bearing stack, which would be the normal, or the heavy duty smooth idlers that you can get from RatRig. None of this is using bearing stacks. It's all using the heavy duty smooth idlers and 1.5 GT tooth idlers where possible. Electronics is an Octopus Pro 1.1. UHP 48 volt, UHP 24 volt. The 48 volt is plumbed to the 4 Kraken motors. They're running at 2.2 amps. Okay. They're running at 2.2 amps. We've got the O2S boards on the tool heads with tube airs and LGX Lite Pros. Yeah, you're using the Kraken on yours, where here we're running the Octopus board with 5160s on the 4 gantry motors and 2209s on the Zs. What else? Late upgrade to the game. The park cooling fans are Delta 24 volt 4028s. Okay. I happened to buy 10 of them. They're not inexpensive. But I figured if I'm going to buy them, I'm going to buy them. And when I do the 4.1 upgrade to my machine, I will swap them out at that point. They're a lot quieter. They are a lot quieter. I did include a bum bag. Okay. That is a 3D printed extension to the backpack electronics. And what that allowed me to do is underneath the electronics is where I mounted the bum bag, similar to a fanny pack, right? If that's the backpack, this would be the fanny pack. And I have a single den rail going across there, and I mounted a set of Wagos for the 120 volt, a set of Wagos, or a pair of Wagos for 24 volt. And then I've mounted the what am I thinking of? I mounted the the tool head board adapters are back there. I can show you the bum bag. Once again, it's going to sit here and do its heat soak for a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll come over here to the main bench side. I cannot rotate the whole bench around, but I will try and take the camera for a ride. So sorry for those of you if this makes you seasick. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Oh, and the camera said no bueno. Give me a second. These cameras should hopefully come back just swapping cameras around. All right, we are back. Try and be a little more careful with the cordage here. But this is the bum bag. Okay. It's got a vented top enclosure to it. I'll go ahead and take this off. There are pictures that I will post on Discord. You can go to, I believe it's printables, and do a search for Bumbag, B-U-M-B-A-G. And there is a version where you can take this and put one at the top. And then there's a version of this that's basically twice as long that goes down, which allows you to bring motors through the motor wires through the bottom and straight in. But yeah, this is really nice and allows you to run a single DIN rail across and gives you a little bit more room to make the wiring a little bit nicer. Okay. Try and bring you guys around here. Once again, sorry for the crazy view that you're getting. There we go. What Discord? Well, I can put it on mine, but I can also upload it to yours. And let me do this as well. So minus the error of me trying to drill through and tearing this up, this is basically what the bum bag is going to look like. It gives you a spot where you can put in some 5mm heat press inserts. And then I was using M5 by 8s going through a piece of DIN rail, and it just gives you a DIN rail in here. On the one that's twice as tall, it's a grid, so you can mount multiple DIN rails on it. So depending on how wacky and crazy you're going, you can really, you know, I'll say get your freak on. And it does have 4 holes here where you would be able to drill through the ACM panel. But because I'm just doing that single DIN rail, right? This hole goes where the center lower M6 goes on the 3030. So this allows access to that. And I put 4 screws, 2 on each side, to join this to the lower wings of the main backpack enclosure. And then that's it. I mean, there's very little weight on this. That's why I didn't think it was necessary to drill through the ACM and add some more holes to it. And hey, Liz, welcome on in. Uh-oh, she's doing a streak. In and out, lurk away. These Kraken motors are not 8mm shaft. They're 5mm D shafts, I believe. Abitnutz sent them with the printer, so that was one of the things he wanted me to do, was get those installed. So that's what we did. And we'll come back over here so we can keep an eye on this. It's probably getting close. Like I said, it sits here and soaks for quite a bit. The beacon coil is sitting around 57.3 C. The hot end is sitting at 150 and the bed's at 60, and it's just heat soaking a bit. Needs some cherries and whatever lettuce is on sale. All right, Liz. Sounds good. You're over here now? Okay, Penguin Makers. Yeah, I was seeing you over on the other side. Yeah, so it's really a nice setup. Because we're using the LGX extruders, I had to use a different mount for the O2S boards. And I had to, I basically just went into the slicer and cut one mounting lobe off of it so that it worked in this setup. But everything seems pretty rigid. Unlike the original 4.0, it's not one continuous piece of spring steel wire. It's a 200 millimeter length at the tool head and a 200 millimeter length at that rear RatRig green support. And you put a 250 millimeter length of PTFE tube over the top of it. Okay, so the center is only supported by the umbilical, and then adding it, you know, doing the clips to tie in the actual PTFE tube, the reverse Bowden tubing to it, adds a little bit more rigidity to that center section so that the loops aren't as bad and floppy, and they're going to stay up and out of the way. I kind of like that set up a little bit better. I thought that might be hokey, but after seeing it, it makes sense. And like I said, I did just receive my 4.1 kit in, along with, seriously? I've got to do this. I have to. Oh, wow. Somebody took my razor blade off. Anyhow, so big box, right? Big box. It is 10 end stops. Like, seriously? 10 end stops and you put it in a big box, no other packaging. That's crazy. But this is the RatRig 4.1 IDEX to IDEX upgrade kit. There is one box missing. So I'm assuming that that box may be a tube or something that would have the steel X gantry. I'm hoping. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that and track that one. Yep. Flip back over here to the bench side so you can see the printer. It looks better than I do. You're here, there, and everywhere? Yeah. No, it kills me when, you know, people do that when they're like, oh, we'll send this box over to you. And it's, like I said, it's literally 10 end stops. And the package that it's in, I'm like, I don't even know why they're sending it in that big package. They could have just, you know, put them in a baggie, in a padded envelope and sent them to me. But they did it in this big old plastic container. But what these are so it's the end stops here on the RatRig end stops. When I was doing the initial homing, don't know what happened, but apparently one of these tried to like leave the rail, and my homing speeds were set to 50. The left side homed just fine, and then the right side like took off, slammed into the edge, and busted the plunger on the end stop. So Mauser sells just the end stops. If you go to the US store for RatRig, you can see the end stops. Printer's moving. You can see the end stops, but you couldn't order the end stops. And the end stops are like $3 a piece, and base shipping from Europe to the US is $27. And I wound up having to pay additional taxes and tariffs before UPS would deliver. So I ordered plain end stops. My intent is going to be to try and desolder the end stop off this one board and put a new one on there. And if not, I did get a couple that should be in my RatRig stuff because they reached out to me because I left a note in the order. And I had to let them know. I was like, hey, had I realized it, I could have gone to like change the currency to Spain, which would have been euros. It would have let me add it to the cart. And then when I went to check out, it knows my login, and it would have reverted over to US dollars, and it would have been in the cart. But going in as just US dollars, it would not even give me the ability to add it to the cart, which was weird. They thank me for finding that. They're supposed to send me a couple of end stops. Hey, Spidey, how's it going, buddy? Long time no see. Long time no see. How are things going with you? Hopefully you're doing well, and the spouse is doing well as well. These. So adaptive bed mesh, using a beacon, goes pretty fast. And now it's gone over to the side to finish heating up the tool head. This is where, it should be sitting on an ooze guard, but once again, I have not installed the ooze guards yet because one, because I'm using the Mandala Roseworks XY joiners, somebody has created one for the left side. One would think they're mirrored, just mirror the file. They're not an exact mirror, or at least the version of the CNC parts that I have on this machine are not the same. So they will not sit the same. So I've got to figure that part out. I may just put a ooze guard on the left side, and we'll have to figure out the right side. Right now it's doing its little blob purge. Purge and wipe, and now it's going to do the first layer. Busy with work than the flea market? Yes, I feel you there. $6 an install. Yeah, like I said, I feel you there, my friend. I had to go in. Well, Wednesday or Monday was the holiday. I had to go to Goldsboro and deal with some family stuff. And then Wednesday, I had to go and do blood work. So I had to go and have blood draw in Pittsboro, which is 40-minute drive one way, and then have to drive back to Raleigh and go into work because we've had some reorgs happen, and we're under new leadership now, so we had to go in for our all hands. And now I'm being asked to go into work next Thursday, and I really do not want to. See if Mrs. Dragon can. But yeah, we are getting a good first layer. And like I said, I have not had to adjust this at all. it does a tap with the nozzle, and then it will do a bed mesh with the eddy current sensor of the beacon. So it's been rock solid on the first layer so far. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention, and this is another reason why we're gonna have to do plenty of calibrations on this, is we're using CHT nozzles. So these are tube airs with 4mm CHT nozzles being pushed by LGX Lite Pros. So we should be able to get really good high flow out of this. And at some point, if he wants to go larger, it's an easy swap. Not as easy. You have to take the titanium shields off the tube in order to then heat it up, undo the nozzle. Of course, let it cool down so you can screw in or use something that's got good heat protection for you and screw in the new nozzle size and heat tighten it at 280. And then put the titanium heat shields back. The only thing that stinks about those is those tiny, they're like M3 by 4 screws with Torx bit, number 8 Torx. So that's the fun part, is trying to get those put back. So how's everybody doing tonight? I know I'm kind of streaming at the same time as a few other people are streaming, but I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I've been doing pretty good. We had a AMS2 Pro that came in. Basically, they just said it broke, no work. Wound up being a simple fix. There was some filament that was like a small, about an inch length piece of filament that was actually stuck in the hub at the rear of the AMS. So I had to get that squared away. This should be up and running soon. We'll do the VAOC. We'll try and do some IDEX printing with it. And then we'll bring the stealth changer back over here and start working on the calibration of the stealth changer. I've watched a couple of other people do it. Like I know Nut Creator just went through and got his dialed in the other day, and I'm chomping at the bit to get working on mine again. So yeah, it's definitely a I'll say it's a labor of love to dial in a custom tool changer, and that's what a stealth changer is. Even though you're following a blueprint, every one is going to be different, right? Just like every tool changer coming out of Snapmaker or FlashForge or Soul, they're different, right? I'm gonna order them, Jedi Spidey. I'm gonna order them in, and I'm gonna actually pay to ship one via air. So I will get it first, so I can play with it a bit. Because I don't want other people to get them and then like, hey, I got mine the same time you got yours, and let's learn it together type of thing. Been trying to watch videos and stuff like that just to get a a good idea and understanding of what we'll be looking at, but yeah. So, other things. If you have a Cheaty Tech, I just got in nozzles. I've got bimetallic nozzles for the Q2 and the Max 4, 4, 6, and 8. And then I've got, let me double check. 6 and 8 millimeter tungsten carbide nozzles for the Q2. The bimetal nozzles are 2 to a pack. The tungsten carbide nozzles are individuals. I've got textured plates, smooth plates for the Q2s, and they only have the textured, double-sided textured plate for the Max 4s. And I got filters for them. So those came in yesterday. So we've got those in the system. What else came in? We got some new filaments, Spidey. We got some of the new, or not new, but new to us. We got a few more of the dual or tricolor silks from Bamboo. I think we got caramel and terracotta on the matte side of things. I think there was one more new one on the matte side of theirs. Keep thinking that something else came in. Yeah, I don't know. It'll come to me. And I've got some leaflet juice, which is 3D lac, repackaged 3D lac that's from our folks over at Ecovate 3D. Some of the guys there, they have a keyboard company, and they took over a support contract for the idea formers for the belt printers. So they've got that, and they get a lot of effects plates. So I've got a few effects plates from them and their leaflet juice, which, like I said, was 3D lac, but it's in the wide head applicator like you would get your Hyperlock in. I have not dialed in any speeds. Like I said, this is literally the second print on this printer. And I just did the first print right before stream this afternoon. So I'm kind of excited and happy that it's happening. I got things pushing. Probably need to see if I can't get, because I know Ecovate has their CO2 laser back up and running. I may see if they can cut me some acrylic panels for the Corvus build. We'll be doing the normal standard, going through and doing all of the standard calibration prints that you would do. We're going to go ahead and do that. So flow rate, pressure advance, yada, yada, yada. We'll get that done. For the left side, but I just want to run some filament through it. And then we will get everything cleaned up. Like literally I'll pull the filament out and I will clean that nozzle very well so that we can go back in and do the VAOC, because we'll be using the camera. You want to make sure you don't have a blob and that you have a very good sight picture of the nozzle. Definitely over extruding a little bit, and I think the retraction could be a little bit better, but generic PLA profile, nothing's tuned, using bamboo filament. So that's pretty quiet. Are you guys over in like Jano's stream checking him out tonight? And if so, is marble races going on? Hey, Timor, thank you for the Prime subscribe. Appreciate the Bezos bucks. No, Jano, you're here? Gotcha. You're just listening, Killer? Yeah. So, Killer, how, is the Skelefork up and running yet, or is it getting close? No, I haven't been able to keep as good an eye on it. I've been catching bits and pieces of streams lately because of all the meetings and stuff that are taking place at work. No, but it's close. Awesome. What was I watching? Dave, Armor 3D was doing all the wiring on his Virtue. That's looking like a nice build. He's doing some really good builds. A lot of the wiring over here, there's the, I guess the Z0 and Z3, or sorry, Z0 and Z2. The two front Z motors. One of the cables is like a nice, I'll say, stretch, so to speak, to get it to the connector. But just about everything else, you wind up having to, you don't have to, you can fill it in the cable tray, but I tend to trim them shorter and, you know, kind of keep things neat and tidy. Virtue was fun. Did you build a Virtue as well? I'll be at the shop tomorrow, Spidey. They want me to go in next week on Thursday, and I really don't want to. Miss Dragon may force me to, though. We got a level 1 hype train going over on Twitch. Thank you all so much for that. You're on the beta testing? Okay, nice. Very nice. Yeah, I tell you, I would love to be doing some beta testing. I tried to get in on the beta testing of the Rapido X, and you know, they selected a bunch of other people. I'm part of the beta test program, but did not get selected for that particular hot end. I am sure I will have those in inventory down the road. Still looking forward to getting my Pika and a production tube compact. So I am looking forward to those. I will tell you that I've been going kind of down the line. I still need to do the LH Stinger, but the Riff has been updated. The I had to physically move the VZBot 235 and the Annex Engineering K3 over here to the bench because I could not. It's been a while, and neither one of them would let me join to the network, the wireless network. I was either getting a permissions error or the network manager error. So what I wound up doing was bring them over here, plug them into the network drop, and updated all the base OS packages. And then I went through and just reinstalled Clipper Screen over the top of it, and which will reinstall the network manager portion, and was able to jump them over to the wireless network then and do the rest of the updates. I have not updated Clipper itself, just because you update Clipper and then you have to update all your MCUs. And you see the K3 has 2 different MCUs, and then the VZBot only has the 1 MCU, but I don't know if I'm going to have to like put it in VFU mode and have to take things apart to do it. And I'm like, the hell with it. If I don't have, if I have any printing issues, then I'll do it. But if I don't, I'm just going to not update Clipper itself. You know what? A lot of people ask me if they can take the K3 off my hands and out of my hair. The good thing is I'm like you. I don't keep a lot of hair, so it's real easy to find up there. I will tell you that my Creality K1C is about to go to a new home. One of my customers here brought his K1C in. He says, I have never done any maintenance or tuning on it. So he brought in basically for our tune-up service. And we went through and you have a lot of hair, just not long. There you go. So we went through and cleaned and lubricated everything. Just basic printer maintenance, tune-up, cleanup, and everything's working well again. And I turned around and asked Mr. Hagen to do the same thing to my K1C. Now, my K1C, I have the DXC extruder on it. So what I'm going to do is go back to the house and get the original K1C extruder and bring it back to stock. And I'll give him the K1C extruder as well if he wants to mess with it later on, but I'm going to return it back to stock because I know what he wants to do is his K1Cs are like his clutch printers. They heat up quickly because they're smaller build volume and smaller bed size, and they're great for quick prints for like last minute things on the he does a lot of RC stuff, so they're great for last minute prints before heading out to the track. So I'm going to set it up so that he'll have both of them and he can just load all the files he needs on either one and just hit print whenever he needs to. Basically like a mini print farm. Yeah. Yeah, so he's gonna buy that one off of me. And then we've got a KDQ2 that came in. It was one that was recently purchased by a customer. They got it home, did all the unboxing, and it started taking a error on the auxiliary fan, which is weird because that is literally the 120 millimeter auxiliary fan that's on the side. And it's not like they're, you know, the connector for it's in the back of the printer. You have to take the side panel in the back, or side panel off to get the back panel off and mess with it. So I know that didn't happen. And long story short, I just gave him a new printer, and we did the unboxing here at the store, made sure everything worked well, and off he went. And I worked with Cheedy Tech Support. They sent me a new fan. I swapped the new fan in. It's been working great. So that one is going to go to the back and become a new print farm printer. And it starts the cycle of swapping out the 6 Centauri carbons for 6 PDQ2 printers. I'm gonna keep the X1Cs for now as my multicolor options, but all the others are gonna get swapped over to Q2s. And we'll probably have one that'll be set up with a 0.8 nozzle, primarily for doing flexibles. And yeah, everything else will be set up with a 0.4 nozzle to do standard prints for customers. We're at 67%, so we have a bit more to go. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to close off the top. Looks like we got 3 layers left. So yeah, other than that, everything's going good. Store's doing good. Like I said, we're bringing in some products slowly. We got the Honey Badger fans. We're gonna get in some more stuff from Honey Badger. We've got the alpha nozzles and stuff. How's your IDEX input shaping? We'll pop that up. We'll pop that up. We do this. I'll have that over there. Come to this. Whoops, not that. This. So input shaping graphs. Whoops. So this would be the T1 resonance Y. So this will be picking up both the Y motors going. It's picking up a lot of them, actually. But could it be better? Yes, definitely could be. I am trying to break the belts in a little bit, and then I'll go chasing some more. Yeah. So that's one. Let's kind of roll through these. The good thing is everything is pretty much lining up. It's not all over the place. Right? Spikes and valleys are, for the most part, staying right in the same place. This is the mirror. I think that was mirror Y, mirror X. Let me just do the so we have X, Y, T0, XY. Right. So the graphs are looking fairly similar. As far as the peaks and valleys, I am noticing that one set is 1E4, the other is 1E6. This one here, there is something up right here that probably needs to get checked out. But mirror mode, they're doing pretty good at canceling each other out. So copy mode, they're going in the same direction, where mirror mode, they're going against each other. So the resonances will, I'll say, fight a little bit. This is the copy mode X. This will have both of the X gantries moving at the same time. Once again, we do see this little up-down dip. So that is indicative that there's most likely some type of mechanical issue going on that can be looked at. Well, like I said, I've checked. Nothing is riding up on a belt or a flange edge. Everything seems to be tracking well. So I'm just trying to keep an eye on it, and I'm trying to get a little bit of time on these new belts while keeping an eye on it through the first few prints to make sure that I'm not seeing an edge get frayed, which is definitely a sign of something not running fully aligned and riding up on an edge. Sorry if I just had my head in the way. So how is this compared to what you're seeing on yours? I'd also probably need to go and take a look at like my actual, yours was pretty bad. Okay. You know, I know they were looking for, you know, 2 peaks, not a lot of this stuff out here, but once again, anything in the 100 to 150 range is normally resonance. And this is the, this is belt tension, by the way. So this is when I was initially looking at the belt tensions. Bad enough you remove the IX? Yeah. I did see a major change between hybrid and IDEX. I will tell you that. What I really saw was the left spool head. The prints are like dog doo-doo. And I can't remember who it was on one of the last streams said, hey, it could just be cooling. Hence why I went and got Delta fans, right? These Delta fans, the exact model is the part number at manufacturer part number is Foxtrot Foxtrot Bravo 0424 Echo Hotel November hyphen Charlie Papa Oscar. They are 40, 28, 24 volt DC PWM. They are 4-wire. Specifically looked for those. And I want to say they are 17.5 or 17.7 cubic feet per minute. So they're decently quiet. I know the original ones that came with my RatRig 40300 are freaking loud. It might be better with the steel gantry. Is that the new A2L? Tulsa scan. We are looking at the Abitnutz channel subscriber RatRig V-Core 4.1 400. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna let that cool a little bit and then we'll pop it off and take a look at it. But you know, it doesn't look bad. Like I said, belt tension one side, the other. This is definitely a little bit cleaner, but you can see that this is at 1E6, so my belt tensions were really, really off. I probably should have run them again, but just see what they look like now that I've got the belt tensions dialed in a little bit better. Do I just want to fix yours up? Sure, you know, bring it to me and I'll fix it up. How about this? I'll do the 4.1 upgrade on mine. And then I can get yours at one of the shows and, we'll go from there. Hell, who knows? With the way I do things, bring it to the show and I'll work on it at the show. Yeah, it's sounds good to you. You'll help. Yeah, that would be perfect. So yeah, the biggest thing on these is just taking the time with the frame and like I said, when you do the belt, and I know you know this, just go through, make sure they're run properly. And as long as everything is tightened down, you don't have things that are loose. Some of the stuff in your resonance could also be, are things properly wire managed? Do you have a lot of extra slack in your wires on the tool heads themselves, right? That could play into some. That flex this. So let me switch over to bench side here and we'll try and see what we see. Number one, what we see is I probably should have cleaned the bed because the prints are actually taking the dust off the bed, but here's our print. This is the A corner. That A corner isn't the best. Once again, we don't have flow rate and all that stuff calibrated. So we are seeing a little bit of stringing. This filament has been sitting out on the shelf for probably at least a week or more, and we've had rain most of this last week. So it could be potentially a little wet. And like I said, we have no flow or anything like that done up yet. So this is just print number 2 on the printer. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this around. And we'll do some calculation. And I'll see if I have to tell me. Guarantee that no skew correction is running on your machine. Check that the variable skew profile is commented out in the macro configuration section, or type the command. Oops, I did not do that. So real fast, we'll see if I'm going to have to reprint this or not. Oops, darn it. Do this. It was telling me what to check. The variable skew profile is commented out. Macros. Which macro? Calibrate, pay calibrate. Either, and once again, what variables. Macro configuration. Anybody remember where this may be at? Hey, LTX Designs, how's it going? Just trying to see if we've got an issue. Really not seeing it. View profile. What are we looking for? Looking for. Check that variable skew profile is commented out. It is not commented out, but there is nothing set there. So there is no profile set yet. So I think we're good. And what we're going to be doing, view correction requires 3 measurements: the length from corner A to C, from B to D, and then from A to D. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on, zero out. And first one is A to C. 143 point. $143.63. Have A to C, B to D. We have an add. So we did A to C, we're going to do B to D. Same thing. Come on, fingers. $143.47. And then we need the length of A to D. A to D. $104.7. Hey, Kenneth, how's it going? Welcome in. Hey, Down Under Maker, how's it going? We are just doing a quick Q-test print. It's a little fuzzy. We've got, I'll say, some over extrusion, possibly some retract issues. But not bad. So we need to copy this, go to the printer config and add the following line. Come over here. Go to our printer config, and I just keep dropping it down. I see G-code macro RatOS, which I believe is what it just told me to put in there, G-code macro RatOS. So we'll move that. Make sure that it's added to that macro RatOS area. Save and restart. Once it comes back up, we're going to do set skew. It looks like we'll put in the 3 numbers. Up. Set skew XY. The AC was 143.63. The next set of numbers, make sure they're in the right order. AC, BD, AD. AC, 143.47. So those 2 numbers are very close. Like what, 0.16 off? Very close. And then the third number is 104.70. And by the way, I love this one. It says suspicious nozzle expansion coefficient for T0. the nozzle expansion coefficient value in RatOS variable config is 0.041, which is quite low. Please verify this is correct. That's what was calculated. And I think the reason it's lower than normal or expected is because these are CHT nozzles. Okay. I have kept the nozzles, or excuse me, I've kept the smoke in. All of the pixies, no angry pixies have been released today. So we are good. Now, does it tell us run the following command in your console? So we set SKU, SKU profile, save my SKU, and then save config. And then it says, going to the next guide, which is operation and slicer. Once again, we still have not done the VAOC configuration, meaning our two nozzles or our two tool heads are not calibrated to one another. So all we have are the two nozzles. And what we've been doing is just printing with T0 right now. I'm trying to go through and get this sort of set up, and then we'll come back and I'll work on the VAOC probably on Saturday when we have a bit more time. Prusa Slicer is the recommended, free open source available here. By the way, do not update to the latest and greatest because, as we have seen, version, what is this? 2.9.5 is not supported yet. 2.9.4 is. If you slice it with 2.9.5, it will not work. It will bark at you and say no go. Okay. Similarly with Orca Slicer. They do support Orca Slicer. However, they do not support version 2.3.2. They only support up to 2.3.1. Why, I don't know, but it is what it is. But their suggestions are Prusa recommended, and then Super Slicer, which is Prusa on steroids, and Orca Slicer. Once again, it just make sure that you have the right version, and if not, you may have to downgrade to get there. For the 4.1, the V-Core 4 profiles remain compatible. It's true. There is not a dedicated 4.1 profile. We see where we're at. Slicer configuration. Yep. Sure. Yep. Add your machine. Add a physical printer. This is where you would go in and tie in an IP address so that you can send directly to that printer rather than doing what I've been doing, which is exporting the G code and then uploading through Mainsail. How to slice. Yeah, I think we all know how to slice. And here's where we can download things like the RatRig calibration cube or the Punk Film mascot, which is kind of cool, actually. It is. You're making Mrs. Maker a coffee? Nice. It's early morning for you. It's 10 p.m. here, so no more coffee just yet. But we'll go ahead and download these. Pretty sure that said download mascot, yet the file that I downloaded said somehow got the picture and not the not found. Oh no. Page not found. Oh no. Oh well, we'll find those and get those downloaded. Slicing for dual material. This is where you'll have to make sure that everything's good. You make sure your VAOC and stuff. So we will have to go through this before we can do copy or mirror. Again, we're just going to scooch down here. For the official RatOS documentation. Does it have a specific tuning guide? Or? Board includes an override beacon true zero correction. It's doing pretty darn good. First layers are good, heat soaking, IDEX. Okay, do they not have just like straight up calibration? Hot embed, pressure advanced tuning, we will need to do that. Huh. Oh, okay. I guess jump over here to the laptop and maybe we just slice up like a, I don't know, a cube. Do they have? Do they have benchy, cone, honey, pyramid? They don't have much there. Let's say I just want to print something, but you know what? It's 10 o'clock, folks. I think what we're gonna do is, hey, Tulsa Skin. Has anybody else been playing with the new Prusa Slicer beta and the full spectrum add-in? I have not. In fact, I just switched over to Prusa Slicer again today because I started to use Orca Slicer to do the first test print to verify the first layer over on the RatRig. And that's when I found out that I'm on 232 that's not supported. So I jumped over to Prusa Slicer on my laptop, which was at 294. And I just updated the configs and went on the streaming desktop, which is Windows. I updated, I was on a way old version of Prusa Slicer here, so I've updated too far on this one. It's a mess. So yeah, I have not played with it. I did see that the beta was available. I'll have to take a look at that. But for now, folks, I think we're going to call this quits for this evening so I can get back home to Mrs. Dragon and get a little bit of sleep. Strange concept, but I think I need more of it. So thank you all for joining in. I know it was a later stream tonight. I do appreciate everybody jumping in and checking me out on both Twitch and YouTube. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the little bit of a hype train, 17% on a level 1 today over on Twitch. It means the world to me. I know I'm not make her meetup soon. So we've had the Maker meetup for May. The next one's going to be the first Sunday in June, which winds up being June 3rd? First Sunday in June, June 7th. Look at the overall month. June, yes, first Sunday in June will be June 7th. So that'll be our next Maker meetup. And that'll be the Maker meetup right before we head out to Midwest RatRig Festival. Goodness gracious. Coming up quick. So yeah, the next Maker meetup is June 7th. We've got tons of classes scheduled. June's going to be a little weird for classes here at Digital Dragon 3D. We're going to do some on the Wednesdays, simply because we've got Midwest RatRig Festival. We'll be out of town, so no classes that weekend, which also happens to be Flag Day on Sunday the 14th. And then the following weekend, the 21st, is Father's Day. So we were thinking, do we do a class and try and promote Father's Day family class, bring your father, bring your son, blah, blah, blah. I'll have to figure out what Miss Dragon finally decided on that. But yeah, kind of where we're at. Everybody, thank you so much for being. Thank you for supporting me over the years. And thank you especially for supporting me the last couple of months as things have just gotten crazy busy in life with, family, work, opening the store. It just makes streaming a little bit more difficult. And a couple of times I've wanted to stream, but we've been working late past closing. And by the time everybody's done, because I'm not going to stream when Mrs. Dragon and Evil Diesel are here working on other stuff, because it's not conducive, right? So I try and wait till they leave, so it's just me here. And, sometimes it's just starting to get later and later, and I'm just like, can't do it. I'm wiped. So thank you for supporting us. Hey, Winnis, how's it going? Thank you for jumping in here. We're getting ready to call it a night. Flipping flies, I swear, they come out. So because the lights are on in here, they kind of sneak in through any cracks. It's a 1940s building. There's lots of cracks. So I'll be sitting here getting dive bombed on stream sometime. You do crazy things to get stuff working again, like holding a clamp on your 3D printer so it can print its new tension arm that just broke. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, for being here. You all are great. Have a good night, and we will see you Saturday night. I am definitely planning on streaming Saturday night, and we'll go through some of the VAOC setup. Between now and then, I'm just going to be trying to set up some prints on that left tool head once again to get some of the belts moving around and just breaking some things in and starting to dial in the main calibration on that left tool head. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye now.